but the reality remains that Indigenous people in Canada experience more overcrowding, a higher burden of chronic disease, and some live in highly remote and isolated parts of this country.
Tonight, how remote Northern First Nations are protecting themselves during the pandemic.
So I see various First Nations communities taking measures to protect their people. I respect their right to do that. But at this point in time, again, not additional blockades internally within Manitoba.
The Manitoba Premier says no to closing a highway after a call from concerned First Nations.
And that's usually what we turn to as Indigenous people, you know, to uplift ourselves and bring that prayer, and we gather and we sing and we dance.
And calling all dancers. A couple in Alberta are hosting online powwows. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. We begin tonight in Ottawa, where a court has instructed Canada to begin paying out some 60 Scoop survivors. Earlier than originally planned, that is. Jamie Kashechewan reports.
The Federal Court of Canada has ordered the Trudeau government to begin payment of $500 million to 60 Scoop survivors who were part of a class action lawsuit. Now, the motion was put forward in early March for an earlier than planned payment to over 12,000 survivors. And the decision comes partially due to the COVID-19 pandemic and is a way to get money to survivors sooner. Originally, they were going to wait until all the claims were in and approved. But now, because of this order, approved survivors will receive the base $25,000 sooner than expected. But it's not clear as to when exactly the checks will go out because of bureaucratic and other delays due to this pandemic. But APTN will, however, continue to follow this story. Jamie Kashechewan, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Thanks for that, Jamie. First Nations in Ontario's remote north are doing what they can to keep COVID-19 out of their communities. Here's Willow Fiddler with a look at how some are protecting their boundaries from the sky.
Many of the communities in Anishinaabe Nation are fly-in only, which some have said makes them more vulnerable to the spread of COVID-19.
We saw this during H1N1. We saw this during SARS. We've learned from those events, but the reality remains that Indigenous people in Canada experience more overcrowding, a higher burden of chronic disease, and some live in highly remote and isolated parts of this country.
Wasaya Airways services Ontario's remote north. It's partly owned by 12 fly-in First Nations. They operate 60 passenger flights daily to 25 destinations and ship millions of pounds of freight and millions of liters of fuel to the north. It's also the only airline Kitchener-Kusub Inanawag will allow into their community right now. Chief Donnie Morris explains.
We're asking non-members, don't come here, stay away. And our band members are just told to make arrangements on Wasaya, come here. Our groceries, charters, essential people are told to utilize Wasaya Airways too, like the police, doctors, professionals. Still, those things are open for them.
He said band members are being asked not to travel except for medical emergencies.
But you got to understand, we're telling non-members don't come here. So, but our members that come home, for example, myself, I'm in isolation as I came home, so I got to isolate myself for 14 days.
Donnie Macklin is the Vice President of Cargo Operations for Wasaya Airways. He says they are following directives from their ownership First Nations.
For passenger movement in and out of the communities, we strictly want people moving through the scheduled services or charters that are set up by Chief and Council, so that the Chief and Councils from all communities are aware of who's coming and going, and they can make their decisions if they want to adjust it at all.
Macklin says their counter agents and pilots are screening all passengers and staff for COVID-19 symptoms and have refused boarding to just one passenger who had a cough but was able to board the following day. While there have been no cases of COVID-19 in any of these remote First Nations, Thunder Bay District has 4 confirmed cases so far. Morris says they're preparing for it to get even closer.
As council, we're saying, okay, if it should hit Kenora, Dryden, or Solcott, that's going to be an automatic shutdown, lockdown. Nobody comes, nobody goes. Because we're in a remote community, and we just don't have the facility
Macklin says they're also taking safety measures at the cargo bases where freight is shipped north.
We are still moving heavy numbers on food. We are still moving heavy numbers of fuel. The winter roads have closed in all of our areas, so right now we are the sole source of food goods for the majority of the communities, and keeping that access and that line clear is important to us.
On top of the flight restrictions, Chief Morris says they're planning 24-hour lockdown drills to help prepare community members in the event COVID-19 reaches them. Willow Fiddler, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
While northern flyin communities are limiting air access to their territories, many First Nations are also stopping cars and people from entering. One community doing so is Six Nations of the Grand River. A third case of COVID-19 was confirmed there on Monday. 20 stop points have been established at entry points to Canada's largest on-reserve population. 3 deaths and 11 cases of COVID-19 were confirmed at Anson Place Care Centre, just 5 kilometers from Six Nations border. Kettle and Stony Point First Nation also confirmed a case of the virus in their community. They are now stopping people from going in or out of the community. Chief Jason Henry says all First Nations must be prepared to take action.
You can't close a First Nation in one day. It takes planning, legal advice, speaking to the local municipalities, appealing to everybody around you, gathering the volunteers and the great support networks. You can't do it when it's too late. You have to prepare now. So get things in place, close things down, protect your people.
Some First Nations and advocacy groups in northern Manitoba are calling for the provincial government to shut down a major highway for all non-essential travel. This follows reports of the first case of COVID-19 documented this week in the northern part of that province. Misapoistic Cree Nation, along with Manitoba, Kiwit, Nawi, Ogomakanaak, are requesting the province establish checkpoints on Highway 6, which runs through the Cree Nation. Outsiders often use services in the community. This morning, leadership set up their own checkpoint along the highway. Members who leave and come back will have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. At a press conference, Premier Brian Pallister said further checkpoints are not on the table.
So I see various First Nations communities taking measures to protect their people. I respect their right to do that. But at this point in time, again, not additional blockades internally within Manitoba. The reinforcement of the messaging and the reinforcement of the checkpoints on our borders with Saskatchewan, of course with North Dakota and with Ontario, very much an emphasis at this point in time.
Nunavut still has no known cases of COVID-19, but the government there expressed frustration today with the federal government's handling of the pandemic. Nunavut has tested 290 residents for the virus. 85 have come back negative. The remainder are still awaiting results. Finance and Health Minister George Hicks pointed out that the federal formula for COVID-19 funding is per capita. With Canada's smallest population, that means just over 500,000 has gone to Nunavut. With Canada's biggest landmass, that funding doesn't go very far to prepare for or deal with a pandemic that has gripped every other province and territory.
We do not want the government's failure to help Nunavut act on COVID-19 to result in another federal apologies to Nunavut 50 years from now, after lives are lost and traumas are passed through future generations.
The federal government has received an overwhelming number of employment insurance claims in the past 2 weeks. The government says it has implemented a streamlined application process that will be able to process up to 400,000 applications a day. That will help them quickly work through a backlog of COVID-19 claims and start paying Canadians promptly.
As of next Monday, April 6th, Canadians will be able to apply for the CERB. CERB is being jointly administered by Service Canada and the Canada Revenue Agency, which will leverage the Government of Canada's 2 largest payment systems, allowing for more timely and accurate delivery of this important emergency benefit. Direct deposit payments will be made within 3 to 5 days of applying, with checks taking approximately 10 days. For Canadians who have already applied for EI, there's no need to reapply. These applications will be automatically enrolled in the CERB. Some Canadians who have already applied through EI will begin receiving their CERB payment over the course of the next few days.
Service Canada has received some 2.1 million employment insurance claims and has processed more than 400,000 to date. More information can be found at canada.ca/coronavirus-CERB. Police in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan have charged a man in connection with a triple homicide that took the life of a 7-year-old and his grandparents. We'll tell you more about that after the break. And here's a look at tomorrow's weather for the east and central parts of the country. Starting off on the east coast, we've got 2 and cloud for St. John's, 5 and rain in Charlottetown. Inukjuak, -6, mostly sunny skies. Nain, -2 and snow. Val-d'Or, 3 and snow. Same as Chibougamau, Sept-Îles and Gaspé, 4. 11 and sunshine for Peterborough. North Bay is mostly sunny and 9 degrees. Sioux Lookout, cloud and 8 degrees. Sunshine and Thunder Bay for 8 degrees. Puckatawagan, -2 and snow. Churchill, mix of sun and cloud and 4 degrees. -7 and snow for Brandon. -1 and snow for Gimli and Winnipeg. -10 and sunny skies for Swift Current. -11 and sunshine for Saskatoon. -8 in Stony Rapids and some snow. -12 in snow in Uranium City. Welcome back. A 28-year-old man was arrested yesterday for killing his parents and his son in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. He is also alleged to have attempted to murder his daughter. Priscilla Wolf has more.
Nathaniel Kenneth Carrier was scheduled to appear in court this morning after being arrested without incident yesterday, but his appearance was adjourned until April 15th. Carrier is to be charged for the first-degree murders of his parents, Dennis Carrier, 56, and Sandra Henry, also 56. Carrier is also being charged for the murder of his 7-year-old son, Bentley, and the attempted murder of his 5-year-old daughter, Kendra, who is in stable condition in a hospital in Edmonton. The incident happened Sunday, March 29th.
We know that we responded Sunday around 4 p.m., but the evidence would suggest that it happened anywhere between late Friday night and into that time that we responded.
APTN spoke to the mother of the children, who confirmed that she is Métis. A member of the family also confirmed that Henry's background is Métis. Nathaniel Kenneth Carrier is currently in police custody. Autopsies are scheduled to be completed later this week to confirm the cause of death. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Of course, none of those charges have been proven. To the city of Thunder Bay, where it says they won't be taking in any spring flood evacuees from Northern Ontario First Nations due to already strained resources and because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mayor Bill Morrow told APTN he's been asking the Ontario government for months to find other host communities in the region. Last year, Thunder Bay housed about 1,000 people from Kashechewan and Kashechewan First Nations who were displaced by flooding and forest fires.
So with our lack of capacity on emergency services and with the COVID-19 virus being in place, this just makes an already difficult situation that much more complicated for all of us. And I think the individual bands themselves would likely be very concerned with sending their band members as chiefs to communities that perhaps have the virus existing already.
On the April 1st edition of InFocus, we got into April Fool's mode and put the focus on laughter as medicine during trying times like these. We had a lot of submissions from you, our viewers, and had some amazing comedians join us. The highlight might have been when a caller from the Yukon, Grandma Susie, called to challenge Clarence Two Toes, aka Ryan McMahon, to a moose calling contest. You be the judge. Grandma Susie.
This is Grandma Susie from Yukon.
Oh, great.
Yes, I want to meet that Clarence on the Snowbay quick.
Well, I wasn't trying to challenge the world champion to a moose call live on TV.
Here we are.
But Grandma Susie, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I want you to go first.
Wow.
Now,
whoa.
I don't know. Who's going to follow that?
Well, Grandma Susie's going to have to. She can't run away scared now. She's the one that phoned in challenging you to this moose duel. So what you got, Grandma Susie?
Good luck.
I feel sorry for that moose. He's obviously constipated. I don't know what to eat in Winnipeg, but it's not very good for his guts. And up here, we like to eat the moose guts, but I wouldn't eat that one. Holy, poor thing. You've got to give it lots of Gaviscon, whatever you eat.
Go, Grandma Susie. What you got?
Well, here's the thing. I already won because I got a moose in my freezer.
Nice. Nice.
That's no surprise.
There you go.
That was it?
Yeah, didn't you see my video I dropped? I already killed that moose and I cooked it already.
Oh, so you're the... Okay. I get
it. Grandma Susie is so legit, the moose walked right to her backyard. She shot that moose off her deck.
And right into the freezer. It jumped in her freezer. Grandma Susie, thank you.
Resources.
And you know what they say up here for our physical distancing? You got to stay 1 moose length apart.
You should really check out that whole show. It was chock full of hilarity. You can watch it on our website, aptnnews.ca, or on the APTN News Facebook page. Time for us to take another break, but when we return, a virtual powwow. And here's the rest of tomorrow's weather forecast for the west and the north. To northern Alberta, we have -17 and snow for Fort Chip, -12 and sunny skies for High Level. Edmonton, -8 and sunshine, -8 and a mix of sun and cloud in Lethbridge. Kamloops, sunshine and 6 degrees, -2, mix of sun and cloud in Quesnel. Prince Rupert, 6 and sunny, -9 and sunny in Fort Nelson. Dawson City, -3 and sunny skies, same with Beaver Creek, and -3 in Whitehorse too. -12 and sunshine for Wrigley, -18 and snow for Wati. -11 at Fort McPherson, sunny skies. Tuktoyaktuk is -12 and sunshine. Baker Lake, -17 with mostly sunny skies. -13 in Chesterfield and sunshine. Joe Haven, -19. Same with the Gluluck and sunshine there. Pangertung, -14 and clear skies, -19 and clear for Iqaluit. Welcome back. During the global COVID-19 pandemic, a nightly ritual has taken shape to salute those working on the front lines. And now the 7 p.m. salute is taking off in Vancouver. Tina House has more.
We've all heard the message for weeks that self-isolation is the best way to stop the spread of COVID-19. Despite the fact that millions of people around the world are self-isolating, this hasn't stopped people from going on their balconies and having dance parties, like this video from Italy where Black Sabbath was played and people sang along. People self-isolating have also found a way to show their support for the frontline workers that are risking their own lives to keep us safe from the pandemic. From places like Singapore to New York to Spain, loud cheering has now become a nightly ritual. Rory Richards from Vancouver saw that worldwide movement and decided that it was time to kick it off here in Vancouver. It started out small at first, and now it's grown to a Canada-wide nightly event at 7 p.m.
And I thought it was really important to unite our communities and really support our healers.
And here at St. Paul's Hospital in downtown Vancouver, it's 7 p.m., and healthcare workers are coming out to listen to the salute and hold up signs saying thank you. Vancouver police also drove by with lights and sirens. Firefighters joined the chorus, along with people standing on the streets and balconies from high-rises.
And it's just so amazing. It brings like tears to all of our eyes. That's why we've kind of made signs and stuff like that. It's amazing.
It's awesome. It's nice to see all the support we're getting. And it does, make us come back every day to work. Thank you.
MMIWG advocate Lorelei Williams brought her drum to show her appreciation.
you know, this is such a hard time right now, and we need to show them our support because they're risking their lives to be here. And it's so overwhelming. I get so emotional every time I hear the noise at 7 p.m. and yeah.
Vince Sabayan is a nurse at St. Paul's. He says the support is incredible and really appreciated.
This makes us go on and on and on to fight this COVID.
In Vancouver's Stanley Park, the traditional nightly 9 p.m. gun salute has been changed to 7 p.m. in solidarity with those on the front lines. And even the youngest members of our society are getting in on the fun. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
That is an amazing story. Thanks for that, Tina. While COVID-19 has canceled community gatherings, people from all over Turtle Island are starting to turn to social media to uplift their spirits. Tamara Pimentel spoke with one Alberta couple who are working hard to bring nations together.
Powwows and round dances are being canceled. But in the homes of many Indigenous families, the celebration of culture and tradition must go on.
Our round dance season's usually winding up now, and then you have some really big celebrations for that, but everything's canceled, and I think it kind of dampened a bunch of people's spirits, and that's usually what we turn to as Indigenous people, you know, to uplift ourselves and bring that prayer, and we gather and we sing and we dance and we practice culture, you know, and we're not able to do that right now for health and safety reasons. So
Fawn Wood and her partner Dallas Waskahat are isolating at home in St. Paul, Alberta, but keeping busy by hosting a virtual round dance and powwow. It's caught the attention of hundreds and connecting people from all corners of Turtle Island. Social media groups like Social Distancing Powwow have also been created for sharing music and dance.
Sanitize as social distancing, but I'm just kind of managing our kids too at the same time and trying to,
that's the reality of our, like, we're able to put on the show for everybody every day, but at the same time, we've been quarantined in our house with our 3 kids for 14 days while trying to do all this too. So it's been fun.
And it's a process. The gatherings are daily, and for this couple, the days start off with contacting performers, hosts, and creating lineups.
We have people saying that their whole family will gather, like, in the living room to watch this, and they look forward to it. People are like, oh, we always make sure we charge our phones or we get our chores done before we start.
Wood says while social media and electronics often distance family members, it's what's bringing all nations together during a time it's needed the most. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Calgary.
So much talent out there. This one thing about this pandemic is it's bringing everybody to the forefront. You can share online and we can all see. That is your show for this April Fools. If you missed our Laughter is Medicine in Focus this afternoon, it re-airs on Monday or tomorrow morning right here at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Have a safe night, stay healthy, and go wash your hands.